Is it that time again? Is it that time again? Oh, damn, look, YouTube, what's going on? We have another Before They Were Famous. This is the Tom MacDonald edition. Yo, this is going to be dope, all right? This one's titled From Pro Wrestling to Rap Star. We going to check this shit out. But before we do that, big shout out to the Donation Crew Squad, the mob. Shout out to Brian, Emily, Jamie, Alex, Josh, Pitt, Dean, Todd, Frankie, Michael, Edwin, Tasha, Rachel, Steve, Kim, my nigga. We're still shouting people out. Q, baby, and of course, none other than Crystal, her motherfucking self. We ain't gonna talk too much. Let's get right into this shit. I'm really starting to really fuck with these installments, fam. Let's go.
Sin Pringle here with our little brother from another mother.
Little brother from another mother. Why did that shit sound so crazy?
Sin Pringle here with our little brother from another mother.
You rapped that shit.
You already know, Tom MacDonald.
Before Tom MacDonald would begin his professional career as a wrestler for organizations like Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling and Real Canadian Wrestling.
All-star Tom MacDonald making his way to the ring. Weighed in at 100 and...
This is crazy. Let me see the footage of this shit. Let me see this.
Before Tom MacDonald would go on to drop
Hey,
Best Rapper
yo,
Ever,
whoa,
which would
whoa.
beat out songs.
That looked wild. Hey, yo, I'm not even finna hold you, big dog. Hey, yo, Tom. This was crazy.
MacDonald would go on to drop.
That looked nuts, nigga. Okay, all right. Let me go. Let me keep
Best
going.
Rapper
Keep
Ever,
going.
which
You
would
know I
beat
fuck
out
with Tom.
songs from
Shout out to the
Deluxe
Hog
Edition
family.
of Music
you
to
feel
Be
me?
Murdered By
Shout
to
out to the
land
whole
on the
Hog
top
family.
of iTunes
Hangover
charts.
Nation. You
Before
feel
Tom MacDonald would have over
That shit was
60,000
wild.
followers on Twitter, 350,000 followers on Instagram, and over 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube at the time of this recording. Beating your
shit was
idol on the iTunes charts, even if it's just for an hour or a minute, well, that's one hell of a surreal moment. Now for Tom, Eminem, he was obviously a massive influence, but it was actually a Tupac album that first had him fall in love with hip-hop. Now the road to success...
Hey, yo, all right. I can give you some credit on that one. All right. Extra
It's been a
credit,
long
extra
and hard
credit.
one, and he nearly drank his life away over the span of 5 years. He was also dealing with crippling depression. Now Tom, he's finally on the other side of things, but he knows all well too how horrifying it can be to hit rock bottom. Now this Canadian rapper grew up in a small town in British Columbia, and after a foray into the world of professional wrestling, well, he began working as a rapper, dropping his first album, Leanne's Son, back in 2014. Now since then, he's developed and refined his talent further, leading to his most successful track yet, Best Rapper Ever. Now you guys might have seen this one on the trending of YouTube, but it's just one of 4 videos that he's dropped in the past 50 days that have all clocked in millions of views. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Michael
gotta
McCrudden.
catch up,
First
too.
up, Happy New Year's. Now I'm sure some members of Tom's Hangover
gotta
gang,
catch up, too.
well, they're probably still recovering. 2020, it was a bit of a shit show, but a lot of good stuff happened here Before They're Famous. I'm going to be making another video later this week, updating you guys on everything. Now, big shout out to Tom, who answered all our questions to help us piece this one together. And a similar video you might enjoy
real shit,
includes one
real
on
shit.
Hercules, and that's Dax, both Canadian
Oh,
rappers.
hold
All right, let's
up.
get into the
Time out. Those two, we definitely got to check those shits out, my nigga. Let me know in the comments below if y'all want to check those out, too.
video.
Those would be some dope installments. This shit's loud as
Be
fuck.
sure to subscribe and hit that bell.
God damn, nigga. Ads.
Thomas
all in
MacDonald
my
was born on
face.
September 21st, 1988 in a very small town in British Columbia known as Mission, which is about a 2-hour drive outside of Vancouver. There, Tom spent the first 13 years of his life attending a school known as Albert McMahon Elementary. Then when he was a teenager, his family, they packed up and they moved to Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh.
Now, I've actually been there, and some refer to it as Deadmonton, which in the dead of winter, well, it's a pretty fitting name. Now, he would live here for the next 6 years, and he attended a ton of schools, including York Elementary, Steel Heights Junior High, J.J. Boland Junior High, and St. Joseph's High School. Now, when he was still just a kid, well, his dad, he worked a number of odd jobs in scrap yards, lumber mills, and recycling plants. Now, he even once traveled
Hard worker. That's something that we heard in Upchurch shit too, right? Hard worker.
as far as Alaska to help out with a demolition job. Now, basically, Pops, he did whatever he could to help take care of his family. Now, Tom's dad,
Sir.
he did it eventually, settling into a role helping with contract negotiations for a company in Fort McMurray. Now, for those of you who don't know this place, it's like Canada's Abu Dhabi. or Dubai. It just ain't fancy. It's just all construction workers up there. For real. And like one Tim Hortons. On the other side of the coin, well, Tom's mom, she worked as a teller before eventually becoming the manager of their local branch of Bank of Montreal. Now, if you're expecting to hear that Tom's relationship with his parents was a rough one and they just didn't understand their son or his passions, well, that isn't this story. Now, in fact, Tom, he tells us that his parents, they always pushed him to follow his dreams no matter what they were. Now, regardless of what Tom was going through in his life, they always believed in him. Through all the failed classes,
Yo, that's a rare thing, too. Like, real talk, that is a rare thing, bro. To have your fam that's already down to push your shit, that's hard.
Lost jobs and self-destruction via alcoholism, well, his parents, they always had faith in their son.
My dad took the poem that I wrote, that I got the low score on, and he gave it to a multi-time published Canadian author who is a poet. And she read it, and she said, you know, Jamie, Thomas wrote something far beyond his years in this poem.
In fact, he vividly recalls his parents sitting him down and telling him that they would support him whenever his ambitions were, even if he just wanted to move to Florida and build sandcastles for a living. They were confident that those would be the best sandcastles ever made. Now, Tom also grew up with his sister as well, and he's even more proud of her than she is of him and his success, especially considering recent world events. Now, Tom's sister, she works as a registered nurse and is right now on the front lines working in operating rooms to help with the pandemic in Canada's COVID units. So yeah, like a huge shout out to her and all the amazing work she's doing right now. Now, with all that support in his corner, well, Tom, he had to decide what he wanted to do with his life. Now, at first, he wanted to become a professional wrestler because as a teenager, well, he was a huge fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was willing to do whatever it took to be just like his idol.
Honestly,
hell
I'm
yeah.
just so tired. I just want to go.
If you're excited to drop your brand new video, give me a hell yeah, Tom.
Hell yeah, Steve. Hell yeah.
So when he was just 14 years old, well, Tom, he began training for his future in the wrestling ring. Within 6 months, he was having his very first wrestling match. A year later, he was on a bi-weekly wrestling television show in Canada called Canadian Wrestling Legends.
There's a flag with a lady in a red shirt and a white is a rascal as she gets tipped over there. Spit biggest spot of the match. Oh, yeah, there we go. And let's try
Look at this nigga.
Now, because Tom was wrestling while
off
still in
shit.
high school, he was placed in a unique educational system known as ISDL, or Independent Self-Directed Learning. What that meant is that he attended classes and seminars in certain subjects, then did the schoolwork and tests in his own time. Now, this allowed Tom to finish his education system while spending like 3/4 of his day in the gym, lifting weights and preparing for his upcoming matches. After graduating from high school, Tom, he would go on to work as a professional wrestler for a handful of years. Now, all in all, he worked the wrestling circuit for 6 years, including promotions like Prairie Wrestling Alliance and Monster Pro Wrestling. Now, anyone who's ever tried to make a living in that industry knows how difficult it can be. It's a lot of hard work for very little pay until you make it big. So Tom, well, he had to supplement his income by working construction jobs. Now, he primarily worked as a carpenter, building a lot of houses and businesses in both the residential and the commercial sectors. Now, he'd also head up north and work in logging camps and oil rigs to make some more extra money on the side. But through all the wrestling, the carpentry, and the physical labor, well, Tom, he was harboring a secret passion, a desire to rap. Now, Tom had always wanted to do something that affected people on a real level, which is why being a musician has always been intriguing to him. Ever since his dad first took him to a pawn shop, gave him $5, and Tom, he bought himself Tupac's All Eyes on Me. And the kid, well, he's been hooked ever since.
Yo, let's go. Hey, that's a hard ass album. That's a hell of an album to start with too, nigga.
Now, Tom had never heard of Tupac before.
Good choice,
and
little
this
nigga.
album
Good choice.
changed his life. He fell in love with it and hip hop in general. But as a white kid from the Canadian suburbs, well, Tom knew there was a huge disconnect between himself and the music he loved. So from there, he began writing poetry as a way to bridge the gap. Now, eventually, those poems, they turned into rock songs, and Tom, he worked for a long time on refining the sound for himself before determining that he simply didn't have the voice of a rock star. Then one day in school, a friend, he told him all about this record that he had stolen from his older brother. It was an album from a white rapper named Eminem. Tom gave the record a listen and his mind was blown. Almost instantly, that disconnect he felt between himself and hip-hop, it disintegrated altogether. Now, Tom knew from that point forward that he could accomplish his dreams.
I hate to say it, but Eminem came out with a real Slim Shady, Please Stand Up. And I just remember seeing the video and I
Hey, yo, Eminem is the start to a lot of people's stories. I'm adding all that right now. Eminem is the start and the pivotal moment for a lot of people in their lives and when it comes to their careers and what they want to do with shit and how they felt about something and if they thought they could do something or not. Eminem is that name that I'm hearing pop up a motherfucking lot.
was like, yo, this guy looks like me. This guy's got, you know, this little white boy, he's got blonde hair, he's got blue eyes, and he's dope.
So Tommy started writing raps in secret. Now, he even started writing them while he was still a professional wrestler. Now, by the time his pro wrestling career had ended, well, he knew what his next move was going to be. He bought professional software and recording equipment, and he started making his own beats.
Oh,
it's kind of like
shit.
A weird thing, actually. I was like a
This
professional
nigga took
wrestler,
this shit
like the
serious,
WWF
for real.
stuff,
Okay.
before the music came along. And then just due to a lot of different circumstances, I sort of got out of the wrestling thing, and I just had all this, you know, pent-up creativity. I've just always been that kid.
Right.
And I always just really just loved music.
Before long, he was working with a producer known as OV and dropping his first album, Leanne's Son. Around this time, he moved back to Vancouver on his own and started collaborating with a rapper named Matt Brevner, dropping his first music video, Dark Side of the Moon. Now, at first, he thought he had to write songs about money, girls, and cars because that's what popular rappers do. Now, this only led to inner turmoil that was further fueled by things like drinking, weed, and partying. Also, that other stupid shit that tends to get in the way. Now, things got so bad there were days when he couldn't even manage to eat something as simple as an egg or a piece of toast, not to mention the sleepless nights which had him turning into a shell of his former self. In fact, Tommy had something of a mental breakdown not too far along into his musical career. Now, this event had radically changed his life after spending a year in a really bad place, not making any music, while he realized that he wasn't being authentic to himself.
I used to love to be in public. Now I'd rather be alone. And even though it's difficult, it's probably for the best. If I didn't make a change, I would have drank myself.
Oh, man.
At Full Sail, we took a unique approach to teaching the art of filmmaking.
Ads all in my face.
Thus, he gave up his vices and he turned his gaze inward to figure things out. With the help of people like his good friend Brendan Hart and the woman who would one day become his partner in crime and his best friend in the world, Nova Rockefeller. We'll have more on her in just a second. Now, eventually, Tom, well, he made it out to the other side. Not only that, well, he learned what was important to him and that he had things he wanted to say in his music. It was then in 2017 that he was experiencing his first real signs of success with his track Dear Rappers. Nova would go on to shoot and edit all of Tom's music videos over the years, and her wealth of knowledge pertaining to the industry, well, it's kept him on the right path navigating the business side of things. Now, she's the teammate that Tom never knew he needed, but she would wind up saving his life. After 13 years of friendship, well, they graduated to something more, and the pair, well, they've been together as a couple for over 4 years now. In terms of his process, well, Tom works as hard as he possibly can, putting in 20-hour days consistently. He figures if he can outdo himself each and every day, he'll eventually get to a place he wants to be in his life. And with hit tracks like Coronavirus and Best Rapper Ever, well, I'd say that Tom, he's closer than ever to accomplishing his dreams. Now, there was a while there where Tom had to fight for his life every single day for 9 months straight, where the minutes they felt like days and the days felt like eternity. Now, not only did he survive that ordeal, but he overcame his vices, and Tom, he wants anyone who listens to his music to know that they can do it too. As cliche as it may sound, tough times don't last, tough people do. And those are the last words that Tom, he would like to leave for all his fans. Alright, a huge shout out to Tom for helping us flesh out this video, answering all our questions. As for the rest of the story, well, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see because this is before they're famous. My name is Mike McCrudden. We drop a new video each and every day, so if you're not subscribed, please do. Also, turn on them post notifications. This channel does big things. Look. We get in contact with all the stars.
I'm not even finna hold you.
And it's nice when they collab with us.
I'm not even finna hold you. Look, I'm really starting to fuck with these before they were famous videos because we starting to really get a look at behind the bars. Ooh, I like that. Behind the bars. Oh, my God. Nigga, that was off the... That was... I shot from the hip. Nigga, behind the bar. Oh, my God.